Hello, my name is Nguyen, and today I'll give you a detailed review on a political literary piece, which is David Runciman's Politics. Um, I'll be still using timestamps instead of giving a table of contents under the video because my editing skills are still quite poor, so hopefully I can change that throughout the course. Thank you for bearing with me for now. So I think that the structure of this video will start by me giving some overview of the book, like a brief description, giving context and everything. And then we'll dig deeper by giving it a quick summary, and then I'll be putting some of my personal thoughts by the end of the video. Oh my god, my face still hurts. I'm so sorry. Okay, back to the topic. I think that David Runciman's Politics offers a broad yet clear overview of key political ideas, concepts, and systems, perhaps to present politics to a wide range of audiences. While it was published in 2014, which might make it a bit outdated, the book still condenses the major themes of politics like power, democracy, leadership, and the future of political systems into a 188-page book. Should be a very good introduction to politics, so without any further ado, let us dig deeper into the book. So, the reading experiences, I think, begins with a seemingly contrasting image between two countries, which was Syria and Denmark. We have Syria, which was drowned in civil war and political breakdown, and it exemplifies a place where politics has failed, which then led to violence and chaos. Conversely, Denmark represents a stable democracy where politics is managed through peaceful institutions and compromise, which is a very huge concept. Politics is seen as an unavoidable part of human life where collective decisions about power and resources are made in the face of conflicting interests. What Runciman did thoroughly assert that politics doesn't only exist within government institutions or among politicians, it actually affects everyone because it's the mechanism through which societies resolve disputes, manage power, and perhaps ensure societal order. Um, I think the introduction lays the foundation for the book's broader exploration of political systems, power dynamics, and governance issues across different contexts. Um, Move on to the first chapter. The first chapter, I think, provides a ground exploration of the nature of politics and also its vital role in society. The author began by defining politics as the process of managing power, resolving conflicts that arise from competing interests, emphasizing that politics is unavoidable because in any society, collective decisions must be made. He introduces the concept that politics is rooted in conflict, not to eliminate it, but to manage it through compromise, which is often both frustrating and essential for maintaining stability. The chapter also digs into the nature of power, distinguishing between coercive power, which is exercised through force, and then legitimate power, which is granted by authority. Uh, Benjamin emphasizes the importance of political institutions like parliaments and courts in structuring and containing political power, ensuring that no single actor dominates unchecked. Furthermore, the chapter touches on democracy, portraying it as a system that, while aiming to balance power through representation, it also struggles with efficiency, tension between majority rule, protecting individual rights, and populism as well. Overall, this chapter creates the themes of power, conflict, compromise, and governance that will be explored throughout the book. Some key examples, along with the comparison of Denmark and Syria from the introduction, are power and authority. Runciman uses examples of different types of power, like coercive power, such as in authoritarian regimes where force is used to maintain control, and legitimate authority, where leaders are granted power through democratic consent. He explains that in stable democracies, power is distributed through institution and relies on the consent of the governed, contrasting this with systems where power is imposed. And then we have compromise in democracies. Runciman discusses how in democratic systems, political decisions often require compromise between different groups and interests. He uses the example of elections and coalition governments where no single group may have complete control, forcing parties to negotiate and work together, even if it means no one gets exactly what they want. Then we'll move on to the second chapter, which builds on the foundational concepts introduced in the first chapter and shifts the focus toward the practical workings of political systems, particularly the relationship between power, authority, and legitimacy. The chapter deepens the exploration of how political power is exercised, how authority is maintained, and why legitimacy is crucial for the long term stability of any political system. Runciman's skillful blend of theoretical insight and real world examples make this chapter a pretty compelling and informative read. I think a key detail within the second chapter of the book is his exploration of legitimacy and how it underpins the exercise of power. Runciman explains that legitimacy is what differentiates mere power from authority. Power can be imposed through coercion, but legitimacy is what gives leaders the right to rule, making their authority more stable and accepted by the public. Runciman discusses that in democratic systems, legitimacy comes from the consent of the governed, typically expressed through elections. However, he highlights that this legitimacy is fragile and can be easily lost if governments or leaders fail to uphold the promises or values that earned them power in the first place. Conversely, in authoritarian regimes, legitimacy might be based on different factors, such as tradition, ideology, or the perceived ability to deliver order and security, even without democratic consent. I think this focus on legitimacy is crucial because it kind of explains why governments or rulers can maintain power for long periods, even under unpopular or oppressive conditions, but also why they can collapse quite rapidly if legitimacy erodes, as seen in various historical revolutions and uprisings. Runciman uses this concept to emphasize that a political system's stability is not just about how much power it has, but whether its authority is viewed as rightful by its people. The third chapter kind of delves deeper into the themes of political conflict, using focusing on how the ideologies and competing visions of society shape the nature of political struggle. Runciman broadens the discussion from the structural elements of power and legitimacy to the realm of ideas and belief that drive political movements and decisions. This chapter is particularly interesting for its examination of how ideologies influence not only political leaders but also the broader public and how these ideas manifest in both peaceful political competition and violent conflict. Um, some of the examples he used was very compelling, mostly about history, like the Russian Revolution, where he references the event to highlight the clash between competing ideologies like communism and capitalism. The revolution exemplifies how political ideologies, in this case Marxist communism, can drive radical political change and upheaval. The revolution was motivated by a desire to overthrow the existing social and economic order, leading to the establishment of a communist state. This historical example demonstrates how ideologies are not just theoretical frameworks but powerful forces that can reshape entire nations. And then we have the rise of fascism. This chapter also discusses the rise of fascism in Europe, particularly in Germany and Italy in the early 20th century. He uses fascism as an example of an ideology that grew in reaction to the perceived failures of liberal democracy and socialism. The authoritarian nationalist and militaristic elements of fascism appealed to populations disillusioned by economic hardship and political instability after World War One. This example underscores how ideologies can exploit fear and dissatisfaction to gain support, often leading to extreme and violent political systems. These examples serve to ground Runciman's theoretical discussion of ideologies in concrete historical and contemporary events, illustrating how ideas like communism, fascism, neoliberalism, and calls for democracy have dramatically influenced the course of political history. These examples serve to ground Runciman's theoretical discussion of ideologies in concrete historical and contemporary events, illustrating how ideas like communism, fascism have dramatically influenced the course of political history, like having said. And then we move to the epilogue, where David Runciman reflects on the broader themes of the book, bringing his exploration of political power ideologies to a conclusion. He emphasizes the complexity and unpredictability of politics, underscoring that there is no one size fits all solution to political problems. The epilogue again revisits the idea that politics is messy and often frustrating, but it remains a extremely necessary means of mm, managing the competing interests and conflicts that arise in any society. Runciman also touches on the future of politics, considering how new challenges like climate change, technological advances, and global inequality will shape political life in the coming years. He highlights that while the core elements of politics, conflict, power, compromise, remain constant, the context in which they play out is always changing. This leaves room for both optimism and caution as the political landscape continues to evolve in response to emerging global trends. In essence, the epilogue serves as a final reflection on the enduring relevance of politics in human society. Runciman reiterates the importance of understanding political dynamics, staying engaged, and recognizing that while political systems are imperfect, they are essential to navigating the complexities of modern life. And as for my personal thoughts, I think that as for a newcomer like I am, I think that compromise, even though it's very frustrating, is completely very essential. One of my big takeaways is that politics is about managing conflicts, not solving them completely. Runciman emphasizes that compromise is essential in politics, even if it feels imperfect or unsatisfying. I now understand that in order for a society to function, different groups have to find common ground, even if nobody gets everything they want. Um, it really is compromise, the only way to keep things moving and prevent like bigger conflicts. And yes, politics is much more complex than I thought. At first, politics may seem like just elections and governments, but after reading this book, it becomes clear that politics is about much more. Managing power, resolving conflicts, and making decisions that affect everyone in a society. Runciman really shows that politics is present in every part of life, from the smallest communities to biggest global challenges. It's not just about politicians, it's about how we all negotiate what's fair and right. Well, I think personally, this book has deepened my understanding of why politics, despite its frustrations, remains such a crucial part of our lives. It reminds us that while political decisions are rarely perfect, engaging with them thoughtfully is essential for creating a more just and stable society. Yeah, the book left me with a greater appreciation for the importance of compromise, the fragility of legitimacy, and the powerful role that ideas play in shaping the world around us. And I think that those are all my thoughts about the book. Thank you for listening. Have a good night or a good day. I don't really know. Have fun though.